be here are here, and those that are going to follow will be on their way. David, are we good to go? Good to go. All right. Before we get started, I'd like, if you could indulge me, if you join me and please stand, and we're going to do a moment of silence, and then please remain standing. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me in a moment of silence. Amen. Thank you very much. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, good evening, everyone, and first I want to welcome you to Beulah Middle School. Thank you for attending the town hall. I appreciate your attendance here this evening. I know there's a lot going on, lots of activities you could be at, but I appreciate you being here. My goal tonight is to get through a lot of information, but it is a town hall, so I certainly want to hear from you. To that end, we have comment cards. Debbie, where are the comment cards?
The comment cards are on the front table.
On the front table. We also have a number of handouts. I'm going to go through a lot of information rather quickly, and if you'd like, you can get a handout. That a number of you have expressed concern. I've received a lot of emails and telephone calls about the billing issues. So of course, that's not something that the County Commission controls, but I have brought information that I can pass along. And I've invited representatives from Florida Power and Light to be here this evening to answer any questions that you might have. And I will let you know if they're here. There's a pretty good chance that they will be here at some point this evening to answer questions. So appreciate everyone being here for that. I want to thank the Escambia County School District and my friend Kevin Adams for helping arrange this. This is a great venue. We've had a lot of meetings here. We hosted our Northwest District 1 Advisory Committee meetings here, and we've always appreciated the hospitality. So just an order of housekeeping, if you need to use the restroom, out those doors on the left, there's a number of them. And there's that. Okay, I want to start this off by introducing our county administrator. I want to give him the opportunity to make some remarks, and then we're going to hear from some other elected officials, special guests that are here this evening. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Wes Marino.
Thank you, Commissioner. It's always good to be at these events and interact with the public. So where to start on Escambia County? You know, we've had a lot of challenges these last 6 to 8 months, and one of our challenges has absolutely been hiring and recruitment. That's probably one of my biggest challenges as we face and move forward as a county is hiring, recruitment, and retainment. And so we've made some strides in that area. We have raised wages in public works. We have raised wages in fire and EMS and public safety. And I will say that as of a report I got this afternoon, Commissioner, our EMS roster is full and our paramedic roster is full. No vacancies. So that's a big step in the right direction from where we were. We're still working on fire, and Eric Gilmore is looking at putting together an in-house accreditation program to try to do some of that training and accreditation in-house and bring a few more firemen and firewomen our way. And then, of course, we have corrections. I see Alan Miller with the PBA here. Corrections has absolutely been a struggle to recruit, retain. We, back in September, did an adjustment throughout the ranks. That adjustment equated to about $690,000 to the personnel budget. We will be sitting down again at the end of this week to try to negotiate another adjustment, mainly for entry level, raising the entry level pay. And I hope we're successful in doing that. I'd like to say I'm optimistic, but we'll see how we go. And if that goes in, you know, it'll be close to 1.7 million between September and now that will be worked with the corrections in the jail there. Additionally, I want to say from FEMA, we've brought in $25.5 million that is reimbursement from Hurricane Sally, as well as even going back to the 2014 flood. So we have a young lady on our staff, Liz Kissel, who is a rock star at tracking that, has established some good relationships and rapport with FEMA something that's not been done in the past, and so we're extremely excited about that. Additionally, the board just approved submitting an application to FEMA to, I guess, get forgiveness, if you will, on our 25% match from the FEMA reimbursement or the FEMA disbursements. So if that comes to fruition, that'll be another $16.2 million that we'll realize here in Escambia County. Now, there's some key departments that we have and are still moving and being successful in. One is our budget office. We were down to two in our budget office throughout last budget cycle. And I saw Mr. Stephen Hall. He came to a meeting, not mainly for an issue around his own neighborhood. And I had asked Michael Rose, actually Michael's right there, I asked Michael, said, hey, catch him and get his cell phone number, I need it. And so Stephen agreed to come in and help us get through the rest of the budget cycle. And then most recently, he has been hired as our budget director, our finance director. Extremely excited about that. We have our eyes on two key personnel, and we hope by the mid-March we're going to be ramped up in our budget office. The others are purchasing and procurement office. We were down to really one person driving procurement solicitations out the door. Today we had Mr. Jeffrey Lovingood that started with us, and we're excited about his experience. Next Monday we'll have a gentleman named Mr. Robert McCallum who will be starting with us. He has 20 years of corporate procurement, but we feel like he can come in and make a difference with us and learn the government procurement fairly easy and fairly quickly. We also have some young folks, I call them young, and they're learning. They're like sponges. They're soaking it up. So we're looking to be extremely successful in procurement. I think we can drive projects out. We have some Saturday work day / training sessions planned. And then in engineering, we do have a new traffic engineer coming on board, Mr. Chris Phillips. He's coming to us from Santa Rosa County. We are still looking for a county engineer. Ms. Joy Jones recently retired, and so we are actively pursuing a county engineer. And there's some key areas in Escambia County if you're going to be successful. One is you got to have a strong engineering division that designs projects, plans projects, aggressively manages the CIP program. You have to have a good procurement area to drive these projects out, get the solicitations out. You got to have a great budget office, and you also have to have a great HR department to be able to recruit, retain, and bring people in. And we have one of the best, I think, in Ms. Crystal Dedura, our HR director. She has just been phenomenal to work with, and she has really brought some fresh ideas to the table, and a lot of good things coming out of our HR department right now. And so, Commissioner, I think with that, I'm going to turn it back over.
All right. Thank you, Wes, for being here. Appreciate the update. Yeah, thank you, Wes. And for those who don't know, Wes stepped in as the interim administrator under some very difficult circumstances back in July and has just really knocked it out of the park. He has been able to close all of the bargaining agreements except for ECAT, which is our transit system, and he's very, very close to that. We're hoping. I mean, we're very, but all the other books are closed, and we got raises for our employees, and he's really helped us navigate some very difficult circumstances. So I just appreciate your leadership, Wes, and again, thank you and the staff for being here. I want to go ahead and speaking of staff, I want to go ahead and make sure I give a shout out to all the staff members that are here, because part of these town halls, one of the things that I like to do is I like to go through the questions that you have and then answer any questions that I can. And if I can't, I turn it over to the Brain Trust who's here with me. And if they can't, they will go back to the office, we'll find the answer and we'll email it to you, or we'll call you with the answer. But you just met Wes Marino. He's our interim county administrator. Debbie Bowers, is Debbie here? Okay, Debbie's not here. Tim Day is here. I thought I saw him. Yep, there's Tim over there. He's the Director of Natural Resources. Horace Jones is here. He's our Director of Development Services. Drew Holmer is here as well. He is the Division Manager for Development Services. John Fisher, I see him. He's a Senior Planner in Development Services. Thank you, John, for being here. Rob McCracken is here. I thought oh, there he is, right over there. He's over here. Rob McCracken is the Division Manager for Engineering. Jim Hagon, I saw him walk in the back. Thank you for being here. He's the Program Manager for Traffic Engineering. James Duncan is back there in the back, Deputy Division Manager for Engineering. So he's picking up a lot of the slack since we lost our county engineer. Appreciate you doing that. And then we have Jamie Higdon, right here, is Director of Public Works and Roads. Don Christian, I saw him come in. Hello, Don. Don is involved in traffic engineering. He's the guy that, if a neighborhood wants speed bumps, he's the guru of speed bumps. He's the one who will walk you through the process. That's why he's so popular. And then Michael Rhodes is here. He's the Director of Parks and Rec. And then Todd Humble is the Director of Library Services. Thank you for being here. And then, of course, our CMR Staff Director, David Hero, is in the back behind the camera. Andy Gibson is the Public Information Manager. We appreciate her. And are there any staff members here that I failed to mention, that I neglected to mention? Please raise your hand. Okay. And I also want to thank the members of the Escambia County Sheriff's Office in the back. They thought that perhaps there could be an issue with the Florida Power and Light. I appreciate them being here tonight. Glad it's pretty peaceful so far. That could always change. All right. So I appreciate all the staff being here. I appreciate you being here. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring up some other elected officials that are present here this evening. We have School Board Member Kevin Adams. We have ECUA Board Member Vicki Campbell. And then is Debbie Malsberger here? I have not seen her yet. Anyone seen Debbie Malsberger? Okay, she's supposed to be here. She's the area representative, legislative assistant to State Representative Michelle Salzman. So at some point this evening, I anticipate that she will be here. But without further ado, School Board Member Kevin Adams is going to bring some remarks and bring some updates from the school district. Kevin, thank you for being here.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, I'm Kevin Adams. I'm chairman of the Escambia County School Board, and I'm your District 1 elected school board member. I would like to thank Jeff for having these town halls. I'm proud that we were able to use this fantastic facility we have here. So, yes. We have 3 fantastic schools in Beulah. We got Beulah Elementary, Beulah Middle, Beulah Academy of Science. We have 52 schools, 5,000 employees, and approximately 38,000 students in the school district. The easiest way to contact me is go to the school district website, click on school board member. It's got, I think every board member's got their cell numbers, if I remember right. So my cell number's there, my email address. Send it to me if you got a problem. The worst place you could put it is on Facebook, because I don't catch all those. Okay, so please just send the email. If it's a county issue, send it to him. School issue, send it to me.
Send them all to you.
Garbage, garbage and water that way. But as you know, COVID had a devastating impact on the education of our children. Devastating. We found out the hard way, a lot of these kids cannot do remote learning. 80% of them failing. It hit us hard. If the calculated grades were out, it would astound you, okay? Some of them kids were out of school for 18 months. Once we were able to, and that was by executive order by the education commissioner, so we had no choice whether they're failing or not attending. We got them back. You can imagine after 18 months, your disciplinary problems went sky high when they first came back. We're starting to see now a trend where we're getting back better. It took us a little while, but you can imagine if you had 38,000 kids, a lot of them out on their own, and then coming back to a more uniform way of doing business, it takes a little while. So anyway, I'm proud of our teachers. They've held in there through all that COVID, and we've done pretty good. I think we'll get back on track. We have settled with the union, and now the union will vote yes or no on the proposal. And to give you a couple of numbers, our offer this year was $3,962,399 more than last year. Okay, and that's to try to get the competitive pay up. We're around 300, 350 employees short right now. So the pay increase for a first-year teacher with no ratings was a 1.37% raise. A highly effective veteran teacher received at least a 3%, because it goes on what they can have these different degrees, certificates, whatever, to get a higher pay. A highly effective veteran teacher will receive at least a 3%, and then one with a master's in reading endorsement can get up to a 4.1 and above, okay, percent increase. As for bus drivers, I advocated for and was successful in getting them an extra bump in their pay, so we could be more competitive, because CDL drivers is hard to keep. I mean, they can go out and make some good money. So I think the changes we made with the settlement with the support ed folks with bus drivers, is we're now maintaining, which is good, but we're still 40 bus drivers short. As you know, at the beginning of the year, we went to a Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 system of when school starts, so we can maximize the bus drivers we got. Many of our bus drivers are making what we call double backs and triple backs. That means they come to school, we don't have a bus driver to go back out, run another route, bring those kids back to school. So, I can't say enough for our bus drivers. They have hung in there, and they're working because everybody's short employees. The county, there's Vicki Campbell back here with ECUA. The Support Ed settlement for the union, we've already settled with them. They voted on and approved it, was $2.6 million more than the year before, okay? So, now I've got some good news. The good news for Buell Elementary, we got a multi-million-dollar construction project. That can also be bad news too. So they're getting a bigger cafeteria, a new car rider line where it's going to go to the back of school with a roundabout. They've already got a new covered play area. And this spring, it's going to get a little worse because we got to start the other part of the construction project, converting that cafeteria to classrooms. The front office is going to be moved out in those portables, the principal and all them, and the car rider line will be affected again. So just hang in with us. Once we're done, it's going to be a real nice facility, but it's going to be some growing pains. Everybody knows, even Mr. Bagash, that infrastructure is a big deal for me, okay? Beulah growth, the last census is approximately over 60% increase over the last 10 years. And as I told somebody earlier, this census tract had the highest growth in Escambia County. Highest growth. So what I'm looking at as a school board member, what is the population going to be in 5 years? We had 65 subdivisions in the last 5 years. How many more is going to come into District 1? So that's where the school board, we're looking at whether a new K-8 might be needed over on OF8 or even a new high school, okay, depending on the growth. So we try, in this dance, the county leads and we're falling behind them trying to meet the demands of the growth. So, but it is critical for us to provide safe pathways to our students. I advocate for that all the time. Florida has one of the highest fatality and injury rates in the United States. So, for pedestrians. I would like to thank Commissioner Bagash for his promise to provide more funding for sidewalks for schools in this area. And I also would like to thank Michelle Salzman for pursuing the funding for the pedestrian bridge on 9 Mile. They won't let that crosswalk go across there. When I was in Tallahassee last week, it looks like that funding is going to go through. I think it is, and then it'll go to the governor, so we'll see. Now, once I say that, you know that when a project is in a pipeline, and Jeff can tell you this, it takes years. It takes a while, so we've seen that with firehouses and everything else, or libraries. It just takes a while for it to go through. If that pedestrian bridge is approved, and I'll give you an example, from the corner of Rebel Road and 9 Mile to Frank Reeder is 0.9 of a mile. So that bridge will serve 1.5 miles. That's bigger, that's almost 1.5 times bigger than OF8, right? Pretty close, yeah. So it's a big area that it's going to support here. We got similar infrastructure problems at Buell Elementary School. I've talked to Commissioner Bagash because we've got new subdivisions going across the road, Mobile Highway, and we got to take bus drivers, which we don't have enough of, to go across the road to pick up the kids to bring them across the road. Okay, so that's next on my target is trying to figure out how we can get kids across. Now, hopefully with the sidewalk infrastructure around this school, it'll also help the second school, Buell Academy of Science. Absolutely. Yeah, so how it worked out, the state stopped short of the schools with all the sidewalk that goes all the way down. So hopefully once we get everything settled, we can connect that infrastructure and make it a more safer community. I will close and I'll look forward to any questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you very much, Kevin, for being here and your willingness to stay and field some questions. And again, we have the comment cards, so if it's a school-related issue, by all means, write that down, and we'll just bring Kevin up to the mic to answer any of those. And the same applies to Vicki Campbell, who is up next. This is your District 1 ECUA rep, Vicki Campbell, and welcome. Thank you for being here. Oops.
Whoop, that's okay. Thank you very much. I love coming to these things. I always appreciate Jeff having them because he has people show up. If I had one on my own, we wouldn't have a whole lot of people. People don't like to talk about trash for some reason, but I am your District 1 board member, and I love any chance that I get to talk to you and give you updates. So I like to always start with the worst thing first, and so when it comes to ECUA, I guess the worst thing would be rates. So I'll talk about that first, and I'd love to tell you we're never going to have another rate hike in your life, but we live in the oldest city in Florida or the United States. The ECUA is under a DEP consent order to repair your aging infrastructure, and Escambia County has the second most highest amount of rainfall in the United States of America, second only to Mobile County, Alabama. So we have a lot of water that we need to take care of. I think the biggest thing on mine and Jeff is water right now, stormwater and sewer. Mine is inflow and infiltration of the stormwater into the sewer system, which creates havoc. It's a thing called sanitary sewer overflows. It's awful. So board likes to keep your rate hikes low. That was one of the things I ran my campaign on. I think there were sometimes 7, 8, 10% rate hikes in water before I got there. I'm happy to say since I've been on the board, we haven't had one rate hike in water and sewer that was over CPI. Most recently, in 2020, we gave you a 0% rate hike. In 2021, we could have done the same thing, but because we have more users, and more users means more income coming in, but we chose to put a 2.5% rate hike on, the board did, solely for septic to sewer conversion, because believe it or not, and I have a map over here, Bruce Woody is our administrator. Sorry I didn't introduce Bruce. Bruce is wonderful. You'll hear me talk about reclaimed water a lot, and the reason that I chose Bruce, and I think all the board members did, is he has a very vast background in reclaimed water. But if you look at the map he puts up on District 1, it'll show you how much of District 1 has no sewer. And some people say, like Jeff will tell me, don't come to my subdivision with sewer, and I'm fine with that. You know, if you don't want sewer, I'm not going to come after you and give you sewer, trust me. I've got so many people wanting it. So what we do is we go with, first, the needs of people for health reasons, and second, areas closest to the waterways. Jeff and I just inherited some property even closer to the waterways, so that's going to be a big thing for me this year. But we kept 2.5% in there last year, and we did that solely to get matching grants from DEP, and I'm happy to say it worked. We put in for $11 million in grants, and we received all $11 million in grants. That's the good news. Bad news is we got to match that, because those are matching grants with under the NERDA pot of money. So, you know, that's why we put the 2.5 in, and that's why we'll probably keep that, just because we want to do as much septic to sewer conversion as we can. We also want to thank staff for that, because they have done a really good job with cessation programs, increased use of HSA accounts, wellness programs, and they keep the hikes down on health care, and that's very, very important, and our staff is absolutely fantastic at that. Sewer improvement fee was to move that treatment plant from, a lot of people call it Old Stinky, from downtown. I think that it was one of the best things we've ever done for the city of Pensacola. It has spurred growth beyond belief. The capital improvement fee in sewer and water was for the plan to address the DEP consent order. We had no plan, and I came on the board in 2012. One of the first things that we did was we came up with a plan to address that DEP consent order. It's a 16-year plan, and we are 6 years into it, so we have 10 more years to go. As of now, we've done $30 million in repairs to address inflow and infiltration, and we will spend another $80 to $100 million to address inflow and infiltration over the next 10 years. I'll talk more about inflow and infiltration in just a minute. Sanitation rates. Sanitation rates are not in my total control. We collect the garbage, but we don't do away with the garbage. The county does away with the garbage. They charge what's called a tipping fee to run their landfill. I'm happy to say that the current Board of County Commissioners has kept that at a very low increase for the last, certainly the last 4 years, but over the last 8 years, they've kept it pretty steady. So that's been a big help for us not to add on your sanitation rates. But sanitation rates have gone up, and mostly because of of what my counterpart over here with the school board said, is CDL truck drivers. We can't hire CDL truck drivers fast enough. There's just, there's no truck drivers out there. And so if I go up to $17 an hour next year, somebody's going to go up to $20 an hour. It's a never-ending battle. It's just up, 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 up with the CDL truck drivers. If you know any young people that have a CDL driver's license, please, please, please tell them to come and see me. We have a great place to work. Everybody loves working there at ECUA. We have really good health care and benefits and retirement. And now I'll give you an update on Recycle. Recycle 2021 was much better. The commodities market rebounded. China and Russia are even taking a little mixed paper, and the domestic markets are coming back quick. Always remember, Recycle is not a money maker. It is a cost avoidance. Everything that I put in the Recycle, we are not burying at $45 a ton in his landfill. And we're not hurting their income, trust me. We're just going to make their landfill last longer. And with all the growth in this area, we definitely need to do that. So I don't anticipate recycling going away. 70% of the people in our county recycle. And the biggest concern we have right now is contamination. If you don't want to recycle, listen now, I've never told you this. If you don't want to recycle, please don't. If you don't want to recycle, just don't do it. Get another trash can and put it in the trash can, because recycle contamination costs you, each one of you, and us more. So if you're not going to do it right, just don't do it. It's a voluntary program at ECUA, which works better than any mandatory program out there. So if you don't, there's very few, 30% of the people that don't want to recycle. It just costs us more to worry about contamination. And we have teeth in our contamination laws, I guess you could call them. If you contaminate your can once, we sticker it. If you contaminate your can again, we sticker it. Third time we take your can, we take it for a year. I coached ball for 12 years, and one of the guys that I coached, his granddaughter, came to call me and said, "Hey, you got to help me, Coach Vicki, you got to help me." And I said, "What?" He said, "They took my can." I said, "What'd you put in it?" And I could hear his wife in the background, "I told you not to put that in the can." And I said, "I'm going to help you get your can back." He said, "You are?" And I said, "Yep, I'm going to give it back to you in 1 year. And then you are never going to put the wrong thing in there again." And he said, "Okay." So he's now got his can back, and I think he's doing the right thing. But speaking of recycle, our compost facility, it's a state-of-the-art facility. Again, that is a cost avoidance. Everything that we take the yard waste there now, and we cut it all up, and we mix it with the sludge from the sewer treatment plant, so we're saving it from not going to the landfill. We're saving the sludge not being dried. That saves $1 million. And think about this, in power alone. Now think about power. Power's going up, but not at our recycle compost facility, because we mix the sludge with that. In 45 days, we turn it into a compost that we're selling so quick we can't make it fast enough. So if you need some compost this spring, go out there and get a truck full. Recycle bins in the county. A lot of people ask me about these. These are our recycle bins, but we just give them to the county. It's the county's recycle facilities. And I will tell you why the county shut them down. Because people are pigs. They were taking everything. They were taking all kind of garbage. They weren't taking recycle. They were taking garbage. And these things ended up just looking like a big dump. So, maybe we could try it again in the future, but we'll have to police ourselves. Sanitation update, we converted our fleet to natural gas in 2012, saved over $1 million a year in fuel alone. We're rotating those trucks 8 every year, which allows us to rotate the entire fleet in every 10 years. All the trucks are back now from Santa Rosa County, and I'm happy to say all those trucks are going to be used, a lot of them right here in Beulah, because we have 5 new routes in Beulah. We purchase 7,000 cans a year at $300,000. I'd like to tell you they're to replace your can, but they're not. We're growing so fast that we can't keep up with the cans. So it's $2.5 million if I bought brand new cans for everybody tomorrow, and we just don't have the money. One big thing, these trucks, they get on the road going up to the landfill, and they're stuck in traffic on Mobile Highway, Pine Forest Highway, Beulah Highway, 9 Mile Road. So Jeff and I together are working on a transfer station. So what happens now, those trucks just have to go up there all day long, all day. At a transfer station in the center of the county, we can offload the trucks onto an 18-wheeler. And this is one thing that happens when they get to the landfill, they tip over. Those trucks cost $300,000 a piece, and I think Bruce has a picture of one tipping over at the landfill. That $300,000 comes out of your pockets. So if we build a transfer station, we can take all the trash at the transfer station, put it in the back of an 18-wheeler. The 18-wheeler can pull up at the landfill, and the only thing that hangs out over the tipping floor is their tail. They have a push arm in them, and it just pushes all the garbage out, and they go back to the transfer station and fill up again. It makes all the sense in the world. We're going to save money on fuel. We're going to save money on truck drivers. We're going to save time, and it's just a big money saver, and money savers is what keeps your rates low. Our workforce, again, I told you we need a workforce. I could go on, but I'm not. I want to thank you again for having me, and if you have any questions, I'll be here afterwards. Oh, one tiny thing, we do have a new app for your phone. I promised you this when I ran again. It's called the Recycle Coach app. It's a little green leaf. If you want to come up, I can show it to you. If you get on there, you choose ECUA as your portal, and you can find out when your pickup is, find out what you can recycle, push a button if my truck doesn't come.
Thank you, Vicki. All right, well, so far we have one comment card, so I cannot believe that you all don't. If you have comment cards, just bring them up and hand them to a staff member, and we'll.
How many do we have at Perdita Peak?
I had 60 at Perdita Peak. But I'm not complaining. But if you have, just stack them right there, and we're gonna. All right. Perfect. Well, without further ado, before I get into what I want to talk about, I know that there's a big issue percolating and brewing. We've all seen our power bills. And at our last town hall, there was a lot of comments about the costs, the Florida Power and Light bills. So Debbie and I have brought some packages. Will you grab one of those and just point to where they are? We brought some packages of information that Florida Power and Light provided that talk about how to read the bill, things you could do to lower your bill, the reasons for the increases. And at that town hall that we did a month ago in Perdido area, I said that at the next town hall I would invite Florida Power and Light to come out if they were available. And I'm pleased to see that we do have a couple of folks from Florida Power and Light. I see Rick Byers here. He's got a really tough job. His job right now is the Florida Power and Light external relations guy. So he's the guy that has to put the face on this. But Rick, if you're willing to, if you guys will be and not kill him, would you like to come up and say something? Come on. No, you don't get to hide back. Okay. Fantastic. So I thought I'd let you hear from Sandy make a statement. Sure. Okay, well, you have to come up here so that we can hear you, so please come on up, and thank you for being here. I know it's a tough ask, given everything that's going on, but for the constituents, I know that they're going to be very interested to hear what you have to say, and thank you for being here. Thank you. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I have to bring this down, sorry. Thank you, Commissioner Burgash, for inviting us to come this evening at the end of your meeting. I know we didn't want to distract from the information that you were providing, and a town hall is a great opportunity to do that. As Rick mentioned, I'm Sandy Sims with FPL. That's kind of a new word for me to say because I've worked for Gulf Power for more than, almost 40 years. I get calls because I'm probably one of the longest-termed employees that we have. And I've actually spent my whole career here in Northwest Florida. I've worked in Pensacola, Panama City, Fort Walton, Crestview, Niceville, you name it, I've been there. And I always like to tell people I've done every job just about in the company except climb a pole, and the reason I haven't climbed a pole is because we didn't have hooks small enough for my legs when I went to pole climbing school. So I know Gulf Power, okay? I know what we do, I know our business, and as Rick mentioned, I've got Rick and Becca Bowles, who are also longtime Northwest Florida colleagues with me this evening. And we are here at the request of Commissioner Burgash. This is a really, really difficult time. If you think back 40 years, you guys know who have been here in Pensacola, what I've lived through as a member of Gulf Power. This is a very difficult time. It's a difficult time for our customers and for our employees. I want you to know that we're working to help our customers, though, each and every day, as many have received higher than expected bills. Although there is a unique set of circumstances that have led to this dissatisfaction, that doesn't make it any easier on customers who are trying to balance not only higher utility bills, but in many cases higher prices at the pump, at the grocery store, at the insurance office, and at healthcare clinics. We've always encouraged our customers to use our many services to help them manage and monitor their energy usage so they can take greater control and lower their electric bill. And that's even more important in today's world. Our website and our mobile app offer ways to understand your bill and what things in your home are the biggest users of electricity. Armed with this knowledge, customers can then decide how they want to approach their monthly usage and their lifestyles. Additionally, we know each customer's need may be different, and that's why we're working to help those who qualify with payment arrangements and extensions and connecting customers with financial assistance. But each situation is unique, and we're here to talk with customers about their individual circumstances and advise them on options tonight. We ask that people meet with us individually so as not to compromise the privacy of any information or any situations that they may have. We know this is a really tough time. It's tough on all of us, and we remain committed to working with customers to understand their electric usage and their bills, and to assist with payment extensions or to connect them with programs that can provide assistance for them. We're committed to our customers here in Northwest Florida, and we're committed to continue to make improvements on the grid that will reduce bills in the years ahead. And I can answer any questions you may have.
Sandy, well, can I step in for just a moment?
Absolutely.
So Sandy and her team are here. Sandy, would you go ahead and give them the number that they would call or the best way to contact you if they have questions about their individual bill?
Well, so this evening, Becca and Rick and I can talk with individuals, but our customer care center is the best place to go, and that number is 800-225-5797.
Can you repeat that one more time?
800-225-5797. And our customer care reps can connect them. We also have some written information or printed information we can pass out tonight as well. But really tonight, if anybody has any unique situations, I don't have access to customer billing. There's a reason they don't give me access to customer billing. But if, I might be able to look at someone's bill if they have it tonight and help them understand maybe the bill, understand maybe some anomalies in their usage, or help connect them with the places they can go. We also have customer advisors who will come to homes and do energy audits. And I, hope I've done that. I mean, I follow just about every piece of advice we've ever given. I keep my thermostat at 68. When I leave, it goes down to 65. I have, energy efficient windows, added insulation. Those are the kind of things. They do require action on the part of our customers, and I know oftentimes that's not convenient or it's not financially viable, but sometimes we can help them understand paybacks and how they might be able to budget to move forward in that direction. So that would be the easiest way to get started, though, to learn more about their usage.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming here. Thank you very much, Sandy. Thank you for being here. And I hope that you guys will stay for a few minutes. That's Rick right there. Raise your hand if you're from Florida Power and Light. Becca, Rick, and Sandy, we appreciate you all being here, and I'm glad they're here. We could have used you last month, but quite a few more questions, but I'm glad that you're here. Thank you. Well, I'm going to run through now. I'm going to get to the county issues. Obviously, they're here. If you'd like to speak with them offline and maybe step out the back door, that's fine too. Grab their business card. That's what I would do. I would say we are receiving quite a few emails about the bills, and we have been. And the one main question that I keep getting is, if you go over that 1,000 kilowatt threshold, why do you have to pay more? So I'm sure I'm not the only one who's asked that question, and I'm sure you've heard that question. I should have asked you when you were up here, but is there a quick answer to why that is?
So you're talking about the threshold?
Yeah, we're at-
kilowatt hour?
Yes, ma'am.
So I will tell you that is probably the
Yeah, I'm sorry, can you please, yeah, I shouldn't, I wish, is this mic working? Hello? Is this one working?
That's okay, I can come up.
Okay, sorry, there you go.
Thanks, Jeff. So the new tiered pricing structure is probably the biggest shock to many of our customers. Whereas in the past, we had programs like Energy Select that allowed you to voluntarily kind of control when you bought power based on pricing. But there was a critical energy component to that, and the mindset behind Energy Select was to encourage conservation. The tiered pricing structure also has that same concept. If you know that it's going to cost you more to go over 1,000 kilowatt hours, then our hope is that as customers, you do everything you can to manage your usage to keep you below that threshold. Because there is a penalty. In conversation with many people, I equate it to a sin tax in Alabama. But there is a penalty of about 2 cents a kilowatt hour for every kilowatt hour that's used over 1,000. So,
That's a good explanation.
that's about a 20% increase over the regular kilowatt hour price for anything 1,000 and below.
And why is that new? Y'all didn't do that before, but why are you doing it now?
So as part of the acquisition and as part of the rate case that the Public Service Commission reviewed last year, we adopted the FPL rate plan. And they have had that rate plan in place for at least 10 years.
In other parts of the state.
Yes, in the rest of the peninsula, and that is because the Public Service Commission mandates that we encourage our customers to use less power. That's kind of counterintuitive to most people in business. You want people to use more of your product, but the Public Service Commission, that was born out of the 70s energy crisis, they require us, we have to file a report every year on how we've encouraged customers to use less and the impacts that we've seen on our system.
Wow. Well,
I also got one question for you, Sam.
Go ahead.
Okay.
She's right here.
Those of us on bill averaging that have not seen an increase that's over 1,000 kilowatts, are we going to see that big?
So the question is about budget bill.
The question.
Okay, that's a great question. You haven't seen as much of an increase because you have an average plan. What that's going to do is ultimately creep it up a little bit. You're not going to see, you shouldn't see that, from $115 a month to $145 a month. But what you'll see is if your budget bill amount was, let's say $120 a month, you might see next month $123, because what we don't want, if you understand budget billing, is there's what we call a deferred bucket. So if you paid me $120 this month, but you only used $110, that $10 goes in that deferred bucket, okay, and that's in the good bucket, okay? And so next month, when you use $130 worth, you're still only paying me $110 because we took that $10 out of that deferred bucket and made us whole. So what you'll find with budget billing is it'll be a gradual increase to cover that.
And it'll be a gradual through every month?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And that may explain it, because some of us didn't really get hit in bad, but like my mother and my father-in-law,
Right.
they almost saw a huge increase.
Yeah, budget billing, we've always offered that as a way to average out your consumption. This is a conversation I had with my son just the other night, because he's, at my advice, got on budget billing when he moved out of the house and had to pay his own energy bill. So that's one of the ways that our customer service reps can talk with our customers about ways to manage their usage and their bills.
Thank you, Kevin. Vicki Campbell from the ECUA has a question?
Well, I was just going to add to that on
What about for the schools, that use a lot of power in ECUA? We're projecting,
I actually put a request in today to find out what their impact is to us.
yeah, I think ours will be.
So I believe with our school districts, I know that the customer advisors met with the superintendents and outlined back in November or December what that forecast looked like for each school. Now, I'm not sure that that information got shared down to the school level, or?
No, well, he would know that. I'm ECUA.
No, I don't know yet.
Oh, okay.
But since we've seen this big impact with our constituents, so that was my question. I forwarded a request to our operations asking them, how big an impact did we have with FPL taking over?
And we did do
Yes.
some modeling back at the end of the year to help school districts, counties,
Okay.
municipalities understand, just like we tried to model for residential customers and let them know there was an increase coming. It's a little more difficult with our business customers because there are so many anomalies, there's so many different rate
Right.
structures you can be under. But, yeah, we did do
Okay.
that, and the superintendent, if you have any particular questions, we have customer advisors who are very familiar, or get very familiar if they aren't.
I'm
with
just
your
interested in the impact.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Yes, yes.
To our budget.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the public does know, we did do that, we did meet with it, and our bill will probably go, our usage will probably go up 1.8 million next year. So,
Okay. Yeah, hang on. Wes has an update from the county's perspective.
Yeah, we did something similar with especially with our sports fields and our recreational associations. I know Rick gave us a call, and we did a conference call, and we did some of that there, which also led us into another conversation about the impact on Escambia County. So we're working through some of those issues as well.
Yeah, and I appreciate you mentioning that, because while the tiered residential structure that you asked me about is a big change for our customers, the FPL rate structure is very different from Gulf Power's. Lighting was another area that we spent a lot of time looking through the new rate as had been charged by FPL, or the structure by FPL throughout the rest of the state, and how that impacted our Gulf Power customers. And we tried as best to give people a heads up and give you options. If you only turn your ball field lights on and you don't hit this demand at a certain time, there may be options to you. And that's the same thing we do with our residential customers, is offer options.
Thank you. All right, Phil, I guess we're going to do this. No, that's okay.
Why does it appear that those of us who have solar are getting penalized?
That's a good question.
So I'm not sure why you think you're getting penalized. Our customer charge actually came down. You'll have to be more specific.
I'm under 1,000 kilowatts, so I get a heck of an increase.
Well, the kilowatt hour price did increase. Our energy charge did increase. So unless you are 100% net zero every single month, all of our customers saw an increase. And percentage-wise, because you have a lower usage, it may have appeared to be larger on a percent basis.
I appreciate that question, and
Yeah. Well, and again, if you've got your bill, I'd be happy to look at it with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sandy, again, thank you very much for being here. I know this is difficult stuff. I would get with her. Anyone out here that has a question, I would get with Sandy, get with Rick Byers, and just make sure that you get with them, and they will get with you, and hopefully they'll be able to figure out your bill and exactly what's going on with it. All right. Again, thank you for being here, everyone. I'm going to go through some quick updates on some projects, and then We will take all of your questions, and we'll go through them one by one, and we'll get this thing done very, very efficiently. And I appreciate you being patient and allowing me to bring them in. A lot of people have questions about Florida Power & Light. Nothing to do with the county, but since we're having this meeting, I felt it would be a good thing to facilitate having, so we appreciate them being here. All right, let's talk about some things of county-wide importance. COVID-19, our response, our recovery. We got the CARES Act in 2020, $14.5 million. We've set aside a lot of that money for testing. We put a lot of money into family aid, direct aid to businesses, and rental assistance. As of today, as of right now, it appears that the COVID-19 pandemic is really diminishing in the county, which is great news. Just 1 month ago, when I did my town hall in Inner-Arity, that night we had 231 citizens in the hospital with COVID-19. 231. I'm very happy to report tonight, just 1 month later, we're down to 91. So we're really making great progress on that. I also want to report 64.3% of the citizens in this county are at least partially vaccinated against the virus, and a full 55% are fully vaccinated. So I think that's some encouraging statistics there. And again, you know, the county has put a lot of effort into assisting folks to get vaccinations, to get testing. And we did get the American Recovery Act. Escambia County's portion was $62.5 million. Again, we've used that for rental assistance. Testing, we've used it for vaccination sites. A lot of it was replacement of revenue that the county lost through the COVID pandemic. So that money is going a lot of different directions, and we're putting it to good use for the citizens. I would say the next thing that we'll go through quickly is redistricting. Everyone knows by now that the districts have all changed, and a lot of people have asked me, well, why did you do it? Well, I'm here to give you the quick, easy answer and the honest answer. Every 10 years by statute after the decennial census, we are required by statute as county commissioners to reapportion our districts and balance them as equally as possible and as equally as practicable. There's a lot of rules and regulations that dictate how it's done, but it has to be done for county commissioners only in an odd year after the decennial census. Well, the decennial census typically they will get us our data that we need to start the process, because it's a lengthy process to do it, by March. So if the census was in 2020, by March of 2021, typically you would have the information that you needed to do your redistricting. Because of COVID-19, the U.S. Census Department was they were way behind. And so there was talk about not getting it until August or September. So I will tell you honestly, and you can double check this, fact check it, whatever you want to do. I was one of the board members, there were two of us, who said, we don't need to rush it. We don't need to do it in 2021. We have to do it in an odd year, but we don't have to do it in the first odd year. And there have been many incidences around the state of counties, for whatever reason, not doing it in the first odd year after the census. So unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you want to look at it, I was outvoted, and we ended up pushing forward. My fear in not wanting to rush it was twofold. I did not want to rush it because I didn't think we had enough time. I wanted to make sure we did input sessions like this. Of course, there was no time to do it because it had to be completed by the end of the year. And I also wanted to make sure that we got it right. It's important in Escambia County because we are subject of some civil rights history here. We have single-member districts, and we have to balance our districts to ensure that we have one district that's majority-minority. Whether or not you agree with it or not, it's just the way it works here in Escambia County. Most counties don't do it that way, but because of the legacy of the civil rights era, that's what we have to do. So for those reasons, I wanted to wait until 2023. I was outvoted, we pushed forward, and the districts have changed. Now, District 1 is still the West Side District. It's just now the Southwest District, which is what it was for decades and decades before 2020. I'm sorry, before the year 2000. Before the year 2000, it was, District 1 was the west side and held Perdido Key and areas, Gulf Beach Highway. That was District 1 for decades and decades. After that, it was switched. Parts of it were cut. Myrtle Grove was jigsawed in half, part in District 1, part in District 2. Perdido Key was taken out. Perdido Bay Country Club was cut right in half of it in one commissioner's district, half in another. So in this rushed process to redistrict, our counterparts on the school board and the county commissioners, we met, and what we came up with was the compromise, and it was passed 4-1 on our county board, and essentially was approved 9-1 when we put the two boards together and we all talked about it. So not everyone's happy. look, no one's going to be happy with a lot of things we do. We just push forward and do the best we can. But Jeff Bergosh, me, I wanted to wait till 2023, and I want that on the record, and I tell people, and you can go back and rewind the tapes from the meetings, and you can clearly see that I was the one who said we should wait. But things turned out the way they did, and I'm proud that we got it done, and thus far, it's worked out. We haven't got sued yet, so that's good. But so that's done, and we're moving forward. Now, the budget. You know, the economy's red hot right now. Everyone knows it. Real estate market's on fire here in Escambia County. Everyone's house, if you've owned a house here for a number of years, you've appreciated in value. We see the construction that's going on. As my counterpart on the school board mentioned, we're the fastest growing census tract. Everyone wants to live here. People want to come to Florida. That's the thing. We have great state, great weather, great structure, great tax structure, no state income tax, so people want to move here. It's growing. When I went to high school here in the 80s, it was a much smaller town. When I was born in 1968, it was a much smaller town. It was a little under 200,000 in 1968 when I was born. We're at 330,000 people. It's growing. And this is a very fast growing area of the state. So when people ask about the subdivisions, the building, what's going on, people want to move here. People want to move here. That creates a demand signal. That sets about in motion people developing property, and that's what's happened. I mean, when I moved here 18 years ago, I bought my house 18 years ago, right down the road in Belridge Forest, before Hurricane Ivan, August of 2004, and this place was radically different. And obviously, I've seen all the changes. I know many of you have lived here many years and seen the changes. I have family members who lived on Frank Reeder Road in the 70s. They've seen a lot of changes, and they've moved on. But the budget, I say all that to say the budget, when you have growth like that, that helps us in terms on the revenue side. So we have a lot of new construction, a lot of new residential construction, a lot of new commercial construction, and that generates and spins off revenue. And so we're going to start our budget process in March. As Administrator Marino just told you, we have Stephen Hall back in our stable. He worked many, many years for the county. He was poached by the city and went over there for a couple of years. We're very happy to have him back, though. Very capable guy. And I look forward to meeting with him on a biweekly basis through March, because there's a lot of issues coming up in terms of funding for the sheriff's office, funding for the fire service, and as chairman of the board this year, my apologies, I'm parched. As chairman of the board this year, I'm going to bring forward some kind of out-of-the-box stuff. Right now, for the sheriff's budget, we take our ad valorem millage rate, we apply it to your properties. We take all that money, and then we end up putting out massive quantities of it to pay for law enforcement. We put massive quantities out to pay for corrections. There is a sheriff's MSTU, and it generates about a little over $10 million a year. But the actual cost of what is happening in the sheriff's office is much higher than that. It's approaching $80 million. It's a very tough job, very hard line of work, and I'm proud that we've been able to provide some very big raises over the last 5 years that I've been on the board. We went through a little rough period there, but we got a 4-year deal negotiated when I was chairman last time, and I'm in the process of working with Sheriff Simmons now to do another multi-year deal. But back to the budget. So the current MSTU generates about $10 million, but the actual cost to provide the service is $80 million. So what I'm going to bring forward, and of course I can't do anything by myself. I need to get 3 votes on the county commission. That's commissioner's math. You got to know how to count the 3 if you want to get anything done. But I would like to raise that MSTU so that it actually generates what the sheriff's office needs, so that it generates not 10 million but 80 million, and I want to reduce your property taxes on a proportional basis. So it's revenue neutral. I mean, it's not a tax increase, but I want that to be shown what that costs, because I want the citizens to know what it costs to provide raises and the material and equipment for the sheriff's office. The other thing I'd like to do for fire, our fire service has evolved, and I'm proud of the fact that in this last year and a half period, we've been able to provide our starting career firemen, the starting firemen, a $10,000 a year raise. I'm very proud about that. That was tough to get to. We had some tough negotiating sessions. Staff stepped in. The board provided leadership, and we've been able to give those tremendous raises. But we still have an issue up the line in terms of the pay scale. There's some compression issues. There's other issues that we've got to get fixed. And the way we fund that is an MSBU. So an MSBU is a municipal services benefit unit, and so that's an equal amount charged to everyone. If you have a small 3-bedroom, 1-bath house, you pay $125. If you've got a 6-bedroom, 5-bath mansion, you pay $125. So everyone pays the same amount. And it's more of a static number. I would like to look at lowering that MSBU to $100 and then adding an MSTU, which will grow as our tax base grows, and that will provide more money every year for our fire service, because we need more money every year because the cost of these services goes up every single year. The workers' comp, the health insurance, the pension liability, it's a very expensive business that we're in. So you're going to see me bring a couple of out-of-the-box ideas. Whether or not they go anywhere, we'll see. But what I would like to do is not raise taxes, but do it a little bit differently so that folks realize the amount that it costs to do what we do in corrections, law enforcement, fire, and things like that. Staffing issues, you've heard the other staff folks here, Vicki, Kevin, everyone. It's a tough environment that we're in right now. A lot of folks have left the workforce. A lot of folks don't want to work. And it makes it incredibly difficult for what we do, because we have a lot of starting entry-level type jobs for the county. We have jobs in public works, roads and bridges, animal services, public works, corrections, and we have 400 openings in the county right now. 400 openings. Now, I mean, currently our unemployment rate's 3.7%. I mean, that's fantastic. So it looks as though everyone who wants a job has one. That's functional full employment. And in speaking with our friends over at Florida West Economic Development Alliance, they do our economic development, I've asked about the participation rate, the labor participation rate. How many people are able-bodied, of working age, and are participating in this economy and working? The federal government keeps track of it at the Bureau of Labor Statistics webpage, and you will see historically from 1944 until now, it goes from a low of about 58% up to about 67%. So it's kind of a narrow band. Here in Escambia County, Florida, we've just got over about 60%. So historically, we're at a low labor participation rate, but the trend is upward. Now, this year, the Federal Reserve is going to raise interest rates 4 or 5 times. That's going to happen. Money's going to be a lot tougher, no more cheap money, cheap loans. Those are going away. Interest rates are going to go up. And like it or not, I think that might spur some people to come back to the workforce, and hopefully that helps. But make no mistake, it's difficult to do the work that we do to serve citizens when we cannot get people to come to work. That's just the fact of reality. Like it or not, you can't refuse to accept the situation. We've raised pay. We have tremendous benefits, as I said at the last town hall, and I always like to say it a lot because many of you work in the private sector. So you pay your Blue Cross premium out of your paycheck, and you see how much that costs for family coverage. Blue Cross family coverage in the Escambia County plan is about $140 every 2 weeks, $280 a month. It's unheard of. It's unparalleled. There are people in the private sector that are paying $1,400, $1,500 a month for that. So we may not pay as well as the private sector, but if you have a family, I sound like a commercial over here, Wes, but we need people to come to work, right? And so if you have a family and your health insurance is killing you, come to work for the county.
Tuition reimbursement?
Oh, tuition reimbursement, great point. We also offer tuition reimbursement. Yeah, you come to work for us, you get great health benefits, you get a great salary, you get a pension when you retire. That's a very unusual thing these days, and tuition reimbursement. So I would encourage you to go to myescambia.com. Go to our website, take a look at it, peruse it. There's a lot of great information on there, and you can find out about job openings. So I just wanted to make sure that I talked about that. And we talk about fire and EMS. We have several members of the fire department here this evening. We've got new leadership. Jason Catrambone moved down here from North Dakota. He's been doing a good job. EMS, we've got Eric Gilmore running public safety. EMS, we've got David Torcell. He came up here from Alachua County. We've had issues. If you read the newspaper, you've heard about our issues. You watch TV. But under Wes's leadership and staff, we brought in new people. As you heard, EMS is fully staffed. That's really news. That's newsworthy. I hope that Randy Wood will cover that for Channel 3, because that's a big deal. We were down 10, 12 paramedics. EMTs we were short. That's really an amazing turn of events, and I'm very happy to see that. But on that same topic, the Beulah community is the fastest growing. So the good news is our fire station right down the road here on 9 Mile Road, just right down the road, the county purchased that from the volunteers. It was a long process. Very long process, very difficult, very tedious. We've put together the money, we've cobbled it together, we've got the plans together, and I'm very proud to say that we are going to put that thing out to bid within a month. Within 1 month, it's going out to bid. So we're going to build a brand-new fire station for the Beulah community because we need one, we have the property, and it's going to be a great asset to this community. I want to talk about the Restore Act and Triumph. Believe it or not, we're still spending money that we earned as a result of the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. We put a lot of money into a lot of different projects, and it's going a lot of different directions. But one of the things that we had as a Restore Act project was OLF 8, which is right here in Beulah, and so it's a topic that we should talk about. It was the helicopter field that we transferred. We did a land swap with the Navy. We picked it up. When I took office, the plan that I inherited when I took office was to create high-tech jobs on that field. And I live right across the street, literally, from it. So I kind of liked that idea as long as it wasn't smokestacks, crushing machines, foul odors, any kind of something that would harm the environment. I liked the Navy Federal model, modern, clean buildings, high-tech. And so that's what I ran on in 2016. And as we moved closer to actually making that property transfer happen, there was quite a few folks that said, look, maybe we should do something different. Maybe we should mix it up a little bit, have some jobs and have some amenities for the residents. Now, I'm all for that. I'm all for it. So we went through a long process. Many of you know that if you've been out here a while. Went through a long process, a lot of citizen involvement and input. And we came up with a master plan. And so we're not just going to have buildings with jobs. We're also going to have some amenities out there. And we're going to set aside about 84.5 acres. The board has now surplused, so that we can sell that to the highest bidder and recoup some money for the taxpayers and build something akin to like a town hall facility, a town center, for lack of a better word, with retail and things like that. That process is moving forward. At the last Board of County Commissioners meeting, we did vote to surplus 84.5 acres. We're all in at $18 million for that property, by the way. That's what it costs the taxpayers of Escambia County to get that property. We sold about 100 acres to Navy Federal for $4 million, so we're down to 14. We've got this 84.5 acre chunk that we're going to sell to whoever's going to come in and follow the master plan and build it. So the market's red hot. Now is the time for the taxpayers to sell that property and see what we can get done out there. And then the area behind there, that's where we're going to create the jobs. That's where the high-tech, clean-tech jobs are going to come. But we're not in as big a rush to do that. So, and that might take some time because we want to be very, very selective in what we bring. I don't want to just have anything out there. I know a lot of folks have told me, they're opposed to anything that's going to have an impact on their houses, and I'm very, very attentive to that, attenuated, because I live right across the street. So I will say there was an organization, I'm not going to name who they are, but they had about 350 employees they were going to bring. They wanted 40 acres of the field. I could never get the specifics on what their average wage was going to be, but they're a name that you would know. I guarantee you, it's a name you would know. They have offices in Pensacola and other parts of Alabama. They were going to kind of bring it all together and centralize it, but we couldn't make that happen. But there are other deals like that out there, and I'm confident that once we finish up that build out of that field, we will have something for the citizens. We'll have something for the entire county in the way of jobs, and I think that we will recoup all that money that we spent to get it and then some. So kind of a long update, but there's been a lot that's happened. And I will say, we haven't had a town hall out here. It's been a couple of years, so I'm very thankful for the ones that showed up. Frankly, a little bit surprised more people didn't, but I guess I'll take that as a good thing, because we did promote it. But I'm happy for the ones that are here. Got a couple other things going on in terms of what we're doing with economic development. Obviously, we worked together with the city of Pensacola and the Pensacola Airport to bring the ST Aerospace project here. They've built one large hangar already. They're going to build 3 more, and an administrative complex. They're going to bring a total of 1,325 additional high-paying jobs to the Pensacola area. We just recently welcomed a brand new company to downtown Pensacola, and it's a high-tech stuff. It's like CSI. The name of the company is Circulogene. They have a patent. They have the exclusive patent in the entire country. They can take a person's blood, someone who has cancer, and they can tell you with their high-tech machinery whether or not your immune system will respond to their treatment. They're the only ones in the country that do it. They moved to Pensacola, Florida. they have about 60 openings they're trying to fill, and they pay $100,000 per job. Those are the kind of jobs that I think are very good for the community. $100,000 job, you're buying a house, you're spending money in the community, and again, that's more revenue for us. We have another jobs prospect coming to our Ellison Park. It's Project Pegasus. They're going to spend about $15 million on a facility, building it, modernizing it, and they're going to bring 70 jobs with an average pay of $61,000. We have multiple other irons in the fire, and I'm not at liberty to talk about them yet because they're under non-disclosure agreements for a couple years, because many of them are relocating from other locations. But I will tell you, the staff and Florida West, they do a great job. They're out there beating the bushes to make sure that Escambia County has a wide variety of employers. I mean, if it's all tourism, the hospitals, and the government, as we saw when the oil spill happened, you pull one leg out of a three-legged stool, it falls over. Now we're diversifying in manufacturing, high-tech stuff, and I think I'm actually going to continue to move in that direction because I grew up here and I know this. Watching a lot of graduations, I'm sure my friend Kevin Adams has seen this too. We have the most amazing students that graduate from our high schools, and many of them historically have not been able to stay, and many of them want to stay. So if we provide good jobs like Navy Federal Credit Union, Circulogene, ST Aerospace, companies like that, there's a high likelihood if they want to stay, that they'll be able to stay in Escambia County. And I believe that's a very, very important part of what we do in the county is economic development. I'm going to go rapid fire, and then we're going to get to your questions, and we're going to wrap this thing up. Again, I appreciate your patience. District 1 is the only district that didn't have a library, doesn't have a public library. Well, that's changing. Shortly after I became your commissioner, I worked hard with the West Florida Library Governance Board, and with my fellow commissioners, we purchased the former Wachovia, Wells Fargo, I think it was even Washington Mutual for a while, building on Mobile Highway, right across from Bellevue Elementary School. And they're in the process of completing the build-out, and that will be open in May, and that will be the first public library in District 1. So I'm very proud about that. That'll be a very nice facility for that neighborhood. Lillian Boat Ramp, for those of you that own boats and like the water, the county purchased 39 acres. We've cobbled together $5.5 million from various pots of money. We've secured all the necessary permits, and we are going to build a modern state-of-the-art boat ramp in District 1 on the lower Perdido Bay, and it's going to be a fantastic facility. 39 acres, park, lots of parking for the large trailers, so I'm looking forward to that coming. As I told you, the Beulah Fire Station, we're going to do a groundbreaking in May, and that's going out to bid here in the next month or so. 9 Mile Road, as you guys know, it's finally completed. That was a long process, and a lot of folks complained to me about it, and when they did, I would just tell them, I'd look them straight in the eye, and I'd say, that's a state project, because it wasn't the county. They wanted to beat up the county and beat up the staff, but we're glad that they were done. Debbie, where are you at? Yeah, that was a state project, but we're glad it's done. Thank you. 9 Mile Road's on the interchange. Okay, I'm not going to go through this, but I have asked the TPO to give me a complete rundown on all the projects in District 1. There's a lot of them, and some of them are very, very exciting. But if you'd like to grab, I made copies for everyone. Grab one, and they give you a time frame, a cost, where we're at in the process for the Beulah interchange, which will connect Beulah Road up through Isaacs Lane and give us another interchange in Beulah. And what that will do, when it's done, it will alleviate all the traffic going down 9 Mile Road in front of Navy Federal Credit Union, right? Because half the people that live on this side of Beulah, more than likely, will go right up there and catch it there. And so it'll give another access point into Beulah. It will lower the traffic on 9 Mile Road. That's a state project. It's moving along quickly. In fact, the note that I got is it's nearly shovel-ready. We do have a lot of unfunded portions of it, design right away in construction, but that's a big deal. The other one that I want to talk about and spotlight, and I won't go through each of these, is Beulah Road is now from Mobile Highway all the way up to Isaacs Lane where the interchange is going to be. That is now a state road. A year and a half ago, the county did a road swap. We gave that portion of Beulah Road to the state, and in exchange, we took Perdido Key Drive out in Perdido Key. So that's a state road. But here's the good news. Here's the good news. We've got a project that's coming. It's going to begin, it looks like, in 2023, and we're going to do the 2.5-mile resurfacing project from Mobile Highway all the way up to Isaacs. They're going to refresh the pavement, add paved shoulders. Anyone driving up Beulah Road from Mobile Highway, we desperately need it. We've got crowding. It's very unsafe. Been pushing it for a long time. Before we turned it over to the state, we tried to get them to commit to it as part of the switch. They would not. We had a $1.9 million project that I was going to fund out of my discretionary, but here's the good news. It's going to be designed in 2023. It's going to happen. You're going to see that happen. So that's good news there. I would encourage you to take a look if you're interested. Pine Forest Road is now up, the portion between 9 Mile Road and the interstate is now officially a part of District 1 after the redistricting, so it's a bottleneck, right? 2 lanes one way, but only 1 the other. Well, we've got that on the hot list. That's moving, and so we're going to get that fixed so that we're 2 lanes on both sides, because that's a real pinch point. It's another state road, and down the line, they have another big project. It's not funded. You've probably seen something in the media about it. It will include the intersection north of 9 Mile Road, the first intersection right there at the back of Publix. They're talking about putting a roundabout there. So people went nuts on that. And but that's long range. That's long range. So a couple final things, then I'm going to get to your questions. We're in the process of starting a massive sidewalk project. Many of you that are familiar with Softly Field Road, from Softly Field, it's a very dark area at night. There's no place for students to walk. State of Florida, FDOT starts a project next week to provide sidewalks on the north and south side of Softly Field Road from the entrance to Softly Field all the way over to Mobile Highway, that entire stretch. That's going to be a tremendous project. Sidewalks, they're going to have some drainage improvements as well. Longleaf Drive, another one, right in front of 4 schools. Very important project. The county, we've had the money sitting there for a long time. It's been a long process, but we're moving that forward. We lost our traffic engineer, but I would say, 45 days or so, we should be putting that project out to bid. It's fully designed. We've got all our permits. There's going to be sidewalks on the north side of Longleaf and the south. We're going to have some drainage improvements, and it's going to be a much better road. And here's the great news. We're going to save about $6 million in what we were originally planning to do based upon what the engineer said, here's what you actually need. The rest of that money, we're going to put that back into District 1 projects, and there's a list of projects that we're going to put in. There's a lot of small drainage projects that I want to talk about. There are many that have just lingered forever. Floridian Ditch off of Blue Angel, Sarasota Street, there was literally 7 houses. The backyards were falling into the ditch. It was built too close to a state stormwater ditch, and the residents were frantic, and they called me. I went down there, I met with them. Staff found a way to make it happen. These folks had complained, people couldn't get it done, we don't know what to do, we can't do it. We met down there multiple times, and here's the great news. It took a long time, it was a heavy lift, but we got a $450,000 grant from the state. We cobbled together some money. That project is almost done now. You drive back there, drive Mobile Highway, Blue Angel, and you look down there now and you could see it. They've totally filled it in, fixed the backyard, so it's a small victory. I want to talk about Pine Valley Estates. Ferdinger Drive, Dunaway Lane, it's lingered. It's lingered for a long time, and they've had a project on the books, but it hasn't happened. Well, it's going to happen. We've got the money to do it. When does that go into bid?
Very soon.
Very soon. Crane wants to know.
Very soon.
Very soon. Well, look.
Bids open the 10th of March, and we're hoping to get it to the board in April.
Okay, bids open 10th of March, and we're trying to get it to the board in April. But as you know, it's tough to get anything done in this business. I'm telling you, things move like a glacier. You got to do this study, you got to do this environmental thing. But here's my thing. When I got money in my pocket, and I'm just saying that, talking about money in my account for the district, I'm going to spend it. I'm going to put it in projects for 2 reasons. I don't want it to sit in a bank somewhere. I want it to be put into projects that benefit the citizens, right? And material costs are going through the roof, right? So the longer we wait, the more we pay. So I'm very proud about Pine Valley Estates, and I know that a lot of residents down there have really taken it on the chin with these rainstorms. Where's Chris Kerb at? Where's Chris? There. Pine Valley Estates, we're getting it done. Chris is going to be talking in a little bit. This is close to my heart. It's a long way from here, but we're opening a brand new 300-foot access point for free access to the Gulf of Mexico beaches at Perdido Key. That happens next Friday. We're cutting the ribbon. It's been an 8-year process. We owned the property. In 2013, we bought the county. You, taxpayers, bought the property. 300 feet on the Gulf. It has sat for 8 years behind a locked gate. 8 years. There's political stuff. The condos next door didn't want people out there using it, and they said, well, the beach mouse. We bought it for the specific purpose of habitat conservation and public beach access, and people were hiding the ball. So we blew that up a couple years ago. We got the funding for it, and we're going to open that thing next Friday. So if you get out to the beach, it's beautiful, it's wonderful. And I will tell you one thing that really kind of sticks in my craw a little bit. When we first talked about how to do it and how to make it happen, there were residents from the condos who live across the street and on either side of your property, your 300 feet on the Gulf, that we had locked, and they had a little walkover. They had a walkover, and they had their walkover locked, and it said private property, only residents can use it. And for 8 years, they walked over that and used your beach while you couldn't. Well, guess what? Friday, it's opening. And here's the other thing that I'm going to hopefully break some news tonight. We're working really diligently right now with staff, looking at funding and some other things, and I've talked to Tim Day about it. We're going to find a way to get the maximum amount of beach access down there, because there's a lot of people who can't pay that $25 cover charge, and there's a lot of people during the summer where they can't get to the beach. We have very small access points. So that's a big deal to me, and I hope it's a big deal to you too. It's your money. You spent it, and citizens should be able to use it, and they will be starting this Friday. Finally, the Beulah Master Plan. When I took office, there was a group of folks that really were interested in creating a master plan for Beulah. They saw what I saw. The growth was just out of control, exponential, and a lot of times, frankly, it didn't look like it was being done in an orderly manner. So before COVID happened, we had a citizens committee, a 9-member committee, and we met for 14 months. We took public input, we did surveys, we engaged the Haas Center at University of West Florida, and we have a tremendous data set of information. And now we've found the funding source, we have the funding source, and we're going to put together that master plan. And better late than never, but we're going to get that master plan put together based on citizen input. So that's exciting. I look forward to doing that, and we're going to have that go out to bid in May. So just watch for that. So with that, that's about all the updates that I have, other than I will say Debbie Malsberger is the legislative assistant for State Rep Michelle Salzman, and they've worked very diligently to help us get an elevated walkway. You heard Kevin Adams talk about it, so here's the other part of that. If we're able to get that money, remember the money I told you we're saving at Longleaf? We're going to put that into sidewalks. We're going to put that into sidewalks in Beulah, Bellevue, Avondale, West Pensacola, areas off of Highway 98. We're going to put that into sidewalks and infrastructure and streetlights. That's what we're going to do, because I know this from as being a 10-year school board member. I can tell you this. There are too many kids walking around in unsafe walking conditions. And, every bit of sidewalk that we could put out there for families and for students, I'm going to be supportive of, Kevin. So stay tuned on that.
Just one comment.
Sure.
Michelle Salzman, she was able to get the speaker.
Oh, really?
She was able to get
Tell her. Yeah, tell the story.
She was able to get the Speaker of the House to totally fund a toboggan study on hazardous pathways for us. So she's the first person that was able to get something like that done. So the study, I think, is almost...
We should get results this summer.
Okay, there you go. So hopefully that would help, because what's happened is the state's put a high bar on hazardous pathways. So for us to... In other words, some of our kids, they can't get that transportation because they set the standard so high. So hopefully a study will put it back the way it should be, so we can get the funding. All right, thank you.
And thank you, Debbie, and thank you, Kevin. I look forward to watching that happen, because the other part of that equation is a lot of people, and I've had, you do something good and some people find the negative in it. Let me just give a quick example. The Board of County Commissioners recently received some grant funding, about $400,000. It's a multi-year project we've been working on, and it's to create a turtle-friendly environment. So we got grant money to put into putting brand-new turtle-friendly amber-colored lights down on Fort Pickens Road at the beach, right? So who can ever find fault with that, right? So I was very excited to pass that. We passed it at the last meeting, and unfortunately, it hit the news because the provider who's going to install it is our electric company. So the headline should have been, Escambia County is putting in turtle-friendly lights with grant money. The headline was, against some citizens' wishes, Escambia commissioners sign a deal with Florida Power and Light. That's our media at work. So some people will find the negative no matter what. The thing is, here's the true story. Look, here's Florida Power and Light. They're here. They know. We're putting turtle-friendly lights at the beach, and we're using grant money to do it. That's what happened. Anyway, all right, enough about that. Now I'm going to get to your questions. Anyone else have comment cards that you filled out? Oh, we got one. How many did you? You're only one per person. No, I'm kidding. No, he's got 5 or 6, so we got plenty now. All right, let's rock and roll. Larry Preston. People who drop off and pick up their children and block Helms Road and Beulah School Road and also Mobile Highway Monday through Friday morning and afternoon. Driveways are blocked. Something needs to be done. All right. We got any answer on that, Wes?
I don't have an answer.
Kevin, you got an answer on that one? Aren't the car rider line, isn't that supposed to snake through your parking lot?
Yeah,
All right.
actually.
I think that's a Kevin Adams question.
Yeah, and I will tell you, we have it all across the school district, okay, because of the infrastructure issues we're talking about. People don't feel safe with their children walking to school, they're going to come by car. Now, COVID increased it, but like Beulah Elementary, it's got over 300 cars in the car rider line, okay? So hopefully, once we get this infrastructure in and people can actually come across 9 Mile Road, you don't have this long, because you look at it, we built 2 big roundabouts on this campus here to fit cars. I mean, it's amazing the amount of number of cars that we can handle on there.
Beulah Elementary and Beulah Academy of Science.
Yes, and Beulah Elementary has that project we're going to do. It's a multi-million-dollar project to put the same thing we have here on Beulah Elementary. The car rider line will go to the back of the school, have a roundabout, and then come back out to the front.
So Helms Road won't be blocked up.
Right. That's what we hope. Yes. So.
Okay, that's good news.
Right.
So the answer there is the school board's got a plan for that, and they're working that deal. All right, Carolyn Grawi. Continued need for access via accessible sidewalks. We just discussed that. Accessible and inclusive infrastructure, schools, county buildings, parks, intersections, restrooms, parks, and community activities. I couldn't agree with you more, and when we build things, we have to, of course, comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act, along with a host of Florida statutes and building guidelines. So the only time you won't find stuff that's accessible is perhaps sometimes some very older park equipment or things of that nature, but Michael Rhodes, not to put you on the spot. He had to split, okay. Not to put any staff on the spot, but if there's anything in particular that you're aware of, shoot me an email, let me know. Because a lot of those things we can upgrade relatively inexpensively, like add a grab bar or, put the insulation under the pipes. But if you have specifics, please, by all means, email me. I'll forward it to staff, and we will. But anything new, I just toured our jail, our brand-new jail yesterday, and the portions that are brand new, everything's accessible. I mean, we're building the fire station. It's going to be handy. Anything you build these days has to be accessible. Am I right? I mean, especially the government. I mean, Well, yes, ma'am, and
We're working with Michelle also on that.
yes, and as you heard, though, that is a problem throughout the county. That's a problem throughout the county. Other areas where you'll go in this country, when they put in a subdivision, they add the sidewalks, and it's all on a grid pattern, and it's all planned out. It's just not that way here, but I can tell you, we're putting a lot of sidewalks in District 1. Go down on Cerny, go look at Cerny. We're putting sidewalks in. We're going to do, like I told you, Softly Field Road all the way across. We're going to put hundreds of thousands of dollars in Beulah because I don't want students walking in unsafe conditions. But I appreciate the question. All right, Chelsea Clayton, House Bill 173, transition planning with IEP meetings. Is that an education-related question? I believe it is.
I think I misunderstood the assignment there, but this is a great opportunity being at the school just to give a quick update that.
Jeff, can we get that microphone?
Yeah.
I have problems hearing the way back there.
Here, just take the mic. Introduce yourself.
I'm Chelsea Clayton with Center for Independent Living of Northwest Florida. And again, this is just a great opportunity with the school hosting this event tonight. Just again, a quick update on House Bill 173. Now when students reach the age of 12 versus 14, their IEP meetings have to include some transition planning. These transition services are very important because they help prepare students for employment, post-secondary education, independent living, or advocating for their needs. So Center for Independent Living, we can work in conjunction with the school to help provide these services, and we serve those from ages 12 to 26 for these transition services.
Mhm.
If you have any questions or want further information, Ms. Carolyn and myself will
Okay.
provide that after this meeting.
Is there a corresponding Senate bill with that, or?
Does that have a companion bill in the
Yes.
Senate?
It's already passed.
It's already passed.
It's required to be in place by this July.
Okay.
Every child aged 12 and older in the school district should be provided information. There's 5 organizations that are required to be shared with students and their families, and Centers for Independent Living are one of those. So, yeah.
All right, thank you, ladies, for that update. I appreciate that.
I watched a little bit of the session today, and they were just passing bills like,
Yeah, it's starting to move now. Well, that's an important issue. There's a lot of children who have disabilities, and they need to have the appropriate, yeah. Creighton Jordan, US 90 Mobile Highway to Pine Forest Road via Klondike and Wild Lake.
Yeah, my concern was on Wild Lake interchange out there at Pine Forest Road.
Oh, sure, thanks, Kevin.
And some of you have drawn up there, the Cracker Barrel.
Yes,
You've got the Shell station there, Hardee's, you've got a like little entrance right there. I've noticed many times that our emergency vehicles, our fire trucks and stuff, can't get up there because it's so congested.
it's so congested,
They
yeah.
burn the horn all day, throw the lights on or whatever, but nobody can go anywhere.
Yeah.
Especially if it's opening time in the morning when people leaving their houses.
It's terrible.
Going down to Wild Lake. My concern was we have a project in place
Mm-hmm.
to try to fix the thing, but it stops right before Wild Lake.
Yeah, Debbie, right there, Malsberger has something for you. The state's looking at a project.
I know, but is Wild Lake County?
Wild Lake is county.
Wild Lake is county, but the state announced today, this is brand new.
This is hot off the press, Creighton.
Pine Forest Road update, I have flyers about it.
Yep.
They're going to 4-lane, Pine Forest Road,
Yep.
north of the interstate, up to 9 Mile Road.
But then they're gonna look at, are they gonna do anything with Wild Lake? Because that,
Wild Lake is a county road.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I'm addressing it here, it needs to be looked at along with.
You probably want to let them finish Pine Forest before you have both sides of the road torn
I
apart.
understand, it's just a dangerous situation if you have to be up in the hotels there, or Cracker Barrel.
I don't disagree.
Have somebody choking or something, our EMS people cannot do them.
No, Creighton,
I've seen it many times.
that's a great point, and I've seen that myself, you know, and
Especially when we're gonna put a traffic light in Klondike.
correct.
And mobile highway, that's just gonna invite more traffic to come down
Yep.
Wild Lake. And it's just really concerning to me, as I've actually physically seen that, you know, our firefighters cannot get up in there.
Well, I will tell you this, there's a long-range plan, the state has a plan, when they do the Pine Forest interchange right there, that's going to loop down, and they're going to totally redo where Pine Forest runs into Wild Lake. Now, that's a few years out, but Debbie, I don't know if you have information on that, but I've seen the drawings and the renderings.
Do a diverging diamond.
Yes, but part of that project does include a loop that comes down, and that would tie in to Wild Lake, and that is part of the state project. I've seen that at the TPO meetings.
There's a diverging diamond, which is the larger portion of it, right there at the interstate. There's the 4-laning north of Interstate 10. And there also, it's not in these, but I've seen renderings of a roundabout at 297A, trying to help improve the flow. But I encourage you to pick up the flyers I have by the door and watch the website, because the public input meetings will be coming. And this flyer does talk about a timeline, so you can watch for when those meetings are going to be.
Very good. Thank you, Debbie, and thank you, Creighton, for that question. Next question is from Mike Marciniak. When is Escambia County planning to replace the failed CMP storm pipe in the county drainage easement between 5780 and 5790 West Shore Drive? It is a FEMA Sally damage project.
We're waiting on FEMA approval. This project has been appealed
Okay.
to FEMA, so we're waiting on their response.
But that will eventually happen? If
If they approve it.
Okay. You've heard the answer from staff. We're waiting for FEMA to approve it. It's been appealed to FEMA. Next question is from Chris Kerb. Will Escambia County update the stormwater requirements to require design to utilize NOAA Atlas 14 stormwater rainfall data instead of the 50-year rainfall data? There is 2.5 inches more for a 100-year storm.
I'm not aware of adopting those new requirements yet. but
Okay.
It's worth looking at.
All right, so that's something that we can look at. You heard from staff. Obviously, we are Okay, when?
I sent you an email on it. There's actually an article that the national radio station or something put out.
Okay.
And it's going to change. Y'all just might want to go ahead and change it before you're required to change it. So it's happening at state legislative, it's all the way up at the federal government. So it will change.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Well, I'm more than happy to look at that. I will say, for a number of years, in Escambia County, we were behind the rest of the state in that we were allowing developments to be approved with stormwater mitigation to a 25-year standard instead of the 100-year standard, and now we're at the 100-year standard. But as Chris says, obviously people, things are changing, right? We're getting more rain than ever. We had, 20 inches more than normal last year? It was ridiculous. So maybe we do need to go above and beyond. Philip Fiorilli, subdivisions without school bus access are causing students to wait on busy main streets. Students cross these roads, get on buses. Yeah. That's a situation that it's because the buses don't want to back up. They could go down a straight street. I know this from when I was on the school board, not to usurp you, but they will not back up. So unless they can go continuously and go forward, they will not go in.
Large subdivisions need to have that bus access.
I don't necessarily disagree with you.
The county planning, when they go to zoning, there's a box at the very bottom that says, for the good of the neighborhood, for the good of the county. Good of the county is bus access.
Right. No, I don't disagree with you at all. Where's Horace at? He had to leave. Okay, well, perfect timing. All right, do you have any more questions for Horace tonight? All right. Phil Fiorilli, we need a street lighting at 9 Mile and
9 Mile and
Beulah Road, like at Mobile Highway and Beulah Road. Okay. Those are both state roads now, so I don't know about how the funding might work on something like that.
Right. When they redid the Beulah Mobile Highway
Yes.
interchange,
Yeah.
they put 4 lights up on the 4 corners. Great visibility. When this end down here at 9 Mile and Beulah, there's no street lighting.
Right.
And so when you turn on the left off of 9 Mile to get on Beulah, you got a really narrow access point and a power pole right on the corner.
That's a good point.
It's just a safety issue.
No, Rob, is that something that we can take to our counterparts at FDOT? Take that concern?
Yeah, we'll see why not.
Can you put that down? Okay, so we'll take that for action, see what we can get done with it. Where's the transfer station going to be? Here you go, Vicki. This is Vicki's favorite topic.
Okay, so, do we have a picture of it? So the transfer station is where the trucks have slept for 40 years. It used to be the old Gibbs Sanitation. It's been ECUA for, the county owned it for many, many, many years, and now, and he's got the map over here, and you're welcome to come up and look at it, and I will show you how it works. So they will loop in, go inside a building, drop the trash into the 18-wheeler inside of a building, nothing will be done outside, and then the 18-wheeler will leave and go to the landfill. So the trucks already sleep here every night full of garbage. They won't be sleeping full of garbage ever again. The reason they sleep there because they can't make it to the landfill in time to dump off the garbage. So that it will be dumped into the 18-wheeler, doors will be shut, there will be no smell. We're going to hold town meetings to go over this, but I am more than happy for anybody to come up and look at the map, and we can talk to you about the transfer stations. It's the most wonderful thing that we're going to do for the entire county, and I'd like to thank Commissioner Bergosh for not fighting it. It's easy for commissioners to fight when it's in their district and they have constituents saying, not in my neighborhood, but when it's for the good of the entire county, and it's really not going to be bad. When we put in the Palafox tank, I kept telling people it's a tank that's going to be empty. but, oh my God, we were going to build a tank, it was going to be full of sewer, it was going to stink, blah, 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 blah. It was in the News Journal, it was awful. They were picketing, holding up signs, everybody in in that whole subdivision had signs up that said, "Don't put ECUA tank." We put it, guess what? How many phone calls have I had? Zero. Not one phone call. No stink, no smell, no sewer, no anything. Just like I told you it was going to be an empty tank, it's going to be an empty tank. I promise you, this is not going to be anything bad for this area. It's going to be an improvement. We're going to be making all kind of improvements to the property that's already there, that's been used for 40 years for garbage trucks. Thanks.
Thank you. And the important thing to note on that is the ECUA has to work with us on that. We have flow control ordinance, which means we can control where they go and dump. There's a lot of revenue at stake, and it's been something they've requested for many, many years. And the issue was the current transfer station fills up. It fills up so quickly that that their trucks are running, all the way from a route, say downtown, all the way to the dump. Their individual trucks. It's inefficient. So, but I've told Vicki we'll have a series of public meetings like this one in that community. I've heard from some of the residents. I want to make sure that folks understand what it is. There's a lot of rumor and innuendo. Oh my gosh, it's going to be open and they're going to be dumping it, but it's not. It's going to be enclosed. Other parts of the country, they do these things in urban areas, frankly, next to schools. I mean, they have all kinds of oxygen scrubbers and filters, and they can put out, tropical scents or anyway, I'm not going to approve, here's the thing, I'm not going to vote to approve anything that's going to be a burden to that neighborhood, and I just want everyone to know that publicly. And I don't believe that my counterpart in the ECA would do that either. So, Philip, your next question, we've already, FPL has already addressed it, and then, okay, so we are now done with, sir, I see you stand, did you fill out a comment card?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay, I'm sorry, I don't think I have, what's your name?
Preston Larry, the very first one.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, yes, here, follow-up question?
I live on Helms Road.
Yes, sir.
I'm a resident on Helms Road, and the traffic at certain times between probably around 1 o'clock to maybe 2:15, 2:30.
Yes, sir.
Is backed up from the elementary school past west of Beulah School Road and partially up Beulah School Road. So if I want to go into town, which I had to go to a doctor's appointment, I have to drive on the wrong side of the road, hoping that nobody else is coming at me.
Right.
To get to Beulah School Road, and then it's the same thing.
Well, as you heard, Board Member Adams, the
Y'all are
chairman.
talking about the Beulah Science. What about the Beulah Elementary School?
No, well, that's the one he's talking. Kevin, you want to explain what you're doing? Kevin's got a project in the works.
Yeah, we got a project, we're spending a bunch of money. What we're going to do is take that car rail line and take it onto the campus, all the way to the back of the school. And it's going to have a roundabout there, and then it'll come back, and then the new cafeteria would be the new drop-off. We're hoping that we can get a lot of those cars off that road onto the school property. That school was built when my kids went there, okay? And at that time, it was a much smaller school. There was no problem. We've had a lot of growth. So what we're having to do is try to handle that by spending more money, build more infrastructure to get those cars cleared off the road. So the project's been in the works for a while, but it takes a while, as he was telling you, to get all the engineering, the permits done. And actually, they should be building that roundabout now, okay? Now, at spring break, it's going to be a little bit tough, okay, at that time too, because they're going to have to redirect the car route line that's now in that one parking lot to the next parking lot, along with the school buses, and that's to get the next part of that construction done. So it's like a chicken and egg thing, which comes first. But we got help coming, so I'm hoping it'll relieve it, sir.
Well, thank you.
And if you don't see it at that time, please send me an email or give me a call, and we may have to build some more infrastructure.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there a like project for Beulah Academy of Science?
A what now?
A like project?
Well, my Beulah people are pretty good about complaining to me, and I get phone calls, and I hadn't got one yet on Beulah Academy of Science, but I'll check that out now you've said that. But I get a lot from this school, and so does Jeff, and down at Beulah Elementary. But as you build more rooftops, we get more infrastructure problems, okay? So hopefully that project will help you, sir.
All right, we're to my favorite part of the agenda this evening, and I appreciate everyone being here. And was there anyone else that had any comments, comment cards, or anything like that? When everyone came in, you should have had a card like this: agree, disagree. This is something I like to do at my town halls. We don't have a super big group tonight, but we got a few people here, so it will be helpful to me. Of course, it's totally voluntary, whether you want to, but I'm going to make a series of statements and ask questions. And if you don't mind, if you agree, put the green up. If you disagree, put the red up. If you don't want to participate, you don't have to. I'm just happy that you're here. Appreciate you being here tonight. And so let's just do this, and that way we can get out of here at a decent time. And again, my thank you to all of the citizens and staff members that are here tonight. First one, would you like town hall meetings like this one more often? Okay. I would say it's almost unanimous. It looks like we got one red, so I would say that's probably 95%. 95.5. All right. Would you attend more frequent town halls if they were held? I would say that's unanimous. Okay. Unanimous. All right. The biggest issue of this area in District 1 is traffic. Agree or disagree? Okay, yeah, that's a question. I would say that's about 80-20. We got a couple no's. Okay, the biggest issue in this area of District 1 is stormwater. I think we got a few people that agree. I think that's 50-50. It looks like a 50-50 to me. All right, do you support property rights for owners of private property? Yeah, this should be unanimous. I appreciate this. Do you support zoning and ordinances to keep property development orderly in your community? Well, I didn't say it didn't. 100%. I appreciate this. Do you support the county's effort to create a master plan for the Beulah area? Okay, that's good. That's good. That looks almost unanimous. And that's coming, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned it. I think I did. It's coming, and it's funded. Do you support mixed-use development on the helicopter field, which may include a town center and some residential units? I would say there's probably about 60-40 agree. 60-40 agree. All right. Do you support the county's 4 cents per gallon gasoline tax to help fund ECAT? Oh boy, I'm seeing a lot of red here. That's trouble. I think it's 80-20 disagree. 80-20 disagree. Now, there's a reason why I asked that question, and here's part two. Because we don't have a bus out here, right? We've got Navy Federal, thousands of employees. We got a growing area. We don't have a bus. So would you support ECAT bus service out to Beulah? Do you want it out here? Okay, we got some disagrees. We got some red. I'd say 60-40 disagree. Okay, that's interesting. I appreciate that, guys. All right, do you support the Beulah interchange project that is in the planning stages, which will add an additional interstate access point to the Beulah Road area? Okay, good. I'm glad to see that. That's almost unanimous. We need it. That's unanimous. All right. All right. I'm just going to make a statement. You tell me if you agree with it or not. I support Navy Federal Credit Union's expansion in Escambia County. All right, I see a couple disagrees. I'd say 80-20 support. Okay, here's one for you. Do you support the county pursuing jobs for Escambia County residents via economic development projects? I mostly agree. I think I see almost unanimous. Okay, that's good. Some people don't think we ought to do it, but I'm glad to see that you all do. Okay, I'm going to make a statement. Tell me if you agree with it. I support economic development ad valorem tax exemptions, E-dates, for incentivizing employers to invest in Escambia County. Okay, that looks good. That's, yeah, I know. Anyway, I hate to ask this question. No, I won't. It looks like people support it. I think it looks pretty good. 90-10. All right. Okay, here we go. This should be an easy one. I support the concept of a walkable community. I know Carolyn does. I do, yeah. No, yeah, we need more sidewalks for the kids and for the adults. Imagine this, we're going to have a town center down there on the field, but all the people, we don't have sidewalks on the north part of 9 Mile Road. We've got great sidewalks the state built on the south side, so if we get this walkover, you can get people across safely, and then they have the sidewalks to get all the way down there, right? I mean, and it is great. I mean, the sidewalk that the state built for us is fantastic. It goes all the way from the Publix all the way down to the interstate. I see people using it all the time. I use it all the time. It really is a fantastic thing, and just imagine when we have more of that and a safe way to get across 9 Mile Road. So I would say that was nearly unanimous on that one. Okay, here we go. I support a state-funded pedestrian walkover to allow students and citizens to safely cross 9 Mile Road in Beulah. Okay, that's unanimous.
Thank you.
That's unanimous, huh?
You're going to need a second walkover.
Well, let's get one in the can first, please, Phil. Come on. Can we get one first before we go for this number 2?
I hope
All right.
Michelle's aide saw that.
See, it's interesting when people are here in real life in front of me and I ask that question, they agree because it makes sense. On Facebook, they say no.
Michelle's aide, if she saw that vote.
Debbie Malsberger, you're not paying attention. Everyone agreed with the walkover, so make sure you tell Michelle Salzman that.
Held up great.
Okay, here's one of my favorite questions. You've probably heard this before. This is like my favorite question to ask. I'm going to make a statement. You tell me if you agree or disagree. Our local newspaper, the Pensacola News Journal, is in step with this community's values. Ooh, that's brutal. All red. Oh, yeah, he says, I don't read it. Yeah, I have to, unfortunately. Yeah, it's a big red on that one. That's a big disagree. What does that tell you? No one likes them. It's amazing. All right, how about this one? This is very similar. This is very, very similar. I believe what I read in our local newspaper, the Pensacola News Journal. That's a big old red right there, too. Big old red. Okay, I'd say that's 100%. Disagree. But just to be fair, I will say I don't see the reporter from the News Journal here tonight. He was at the last meeting, and at the end of the meeting, I went up to him and I said, Jim, you guys have done 27 cartoons of me, I'm sorry. And you saw what they weren't audience plants. They were all red. We don't like it. We don't agree. So he goes, well, you ought to ask questions about the other media too. So tonight I'm gonna. All right. But this will be interesting. I don't know what to think about this one. So this is a statement. Tell me if you agree or disagree. Channel 3, WEAR, covers the news in a fair and balanced manner for our community. Yeah. I think they do. Where's the News Journal at? See? He's doing 50. But I'd say, what do you think, Kevin? What is that, 60-40 agree? 60-40. I think 60-40 agree. So that's for the News Journal. It's not everyone. It's just them. 60-40 agree. All right. This is a good one. Because I like this guy. I get a lot of my news from northescambia.com. northescambia.com. Yeah, so I got a couple of disagrees, got a few. Raise your hand if you've heard of us, North Escambia. Okay, yeah. Okay, got a few agrees. I'd say probably 60-40 agree. All right, this is a good one for the people that live in Beulah like me. I would support a second park in Beulah north of 9 Mile Road. That's an easy one.
Ballpark.
Well, I got to get the park before I get the ballpark. It looks like we got a... Well, Phil, you're making it rough, man. That is a great park. But, and by the way, I will tell you, if Michael Rhodes was here, he would tell you, since we built that park, that is the busiest park in Escambia County Park System. Now, the thing that breaks my heart, Creighton, and for everyone here, I go there, I play tennis, I take my kids there. I mean, it's a beautiful, wonderful facility, but we've had vandalism. People go in there, they break the toilets for no reason. They break them. They break the sink. It's just heartbreaking. I mean, we put something nice out there. They used to have porta potties. We spent $150,000 my first year on the board to build that nice restroom facility. And
maybe you could put it on the cruiser's route.
Well, I mean, it's not. Sadly, it's not unique to the Beulah Park. All of our parks, we get people that are angry. They go in there. I don't know what's going on with them in their head, but they break the stuff for no good reasons. But it is a great park. Thanks for saying that. And I believe.
Play a TikTok too, Bill.
Yeah, probably a TikTok thing. Yeah, it's probably a trend. We don't want that trend. All right, I think that was pretty unanimous for the second part, so I got that. We're almost done here, guys. This is one that I've been pushing for. I've lived out here, as I've told you guys, from 2004, before Ivan, when I bought my house. But there's no full-service restaurant in Beulah. There's not. We've got the roller hot dogs. You got the burritos at Circle K. I mean, there's no. So this is a question. I would support having more dining restaurant choices out here in Beulah. I know I'm right. Disagree. Oh my gosh, come on. Well, it's almost unanimous. Almost unanimous. 95% agree. All right. Do you support free public beach access for citizens? Yeah, I do too. That's right. Here's one that I know will be a quick reaction. Do you support impact fees levied on developers? There's no builders in the house tonight, because that's unanimous. 100%. Yeah, we will. All right. Now, okay, this is a great one. This is about people in political office. Local offices, such as county commissioners and school board members, should be subject to term limits. There you go. I don't disagree. All right, but this is the test right here. National offices, like U.S. Senate and Congress, should be subject to term limits. That was a faster reaction, much faster reaction for the national offices. All right. I believe FDOT does good work in the state and in our local area, the Florida Department of Transportation. Okay, they're late, they're over budget sometimes, but I like this road, I'll tell you that. I like it. It took time. All right, final question. This is very important because we're going to be making some decisions about our jail. The board's going to be making some decisions about our jail that have consequences. And I campaigned on the issue that I believe that the county sheriff should operate and run the jail. Yeah. Oh, wait, I didn't even ask the question. Boy, I got a quick agree on that one. All right, so I'm going to make a statement. I believe the sheriff's office should run the county's jail. Okay, that's unanimous there. That's unanimous. I'll be talking to the sheriff about that. It's a difficult job no matter who runs it. In 2014, before I was on the board, there were some issues with the previous Board of County Commissioners and the previous sheriff, and that led to the jail coming over to the county. The staff, we've got good people that work there. This is not any kind of a knock on them, but I think out of 67 counties, like 60 of them are run by the sheriff, the respective sheriff of that office. So, and I've been contacted by some folks that work there, and so anyway, it's good to know that the citizens support that, and that'll be good information to take back. With that, we've come to the end of the agenda, so I want to say thank you to the citizens, thank you to the staff. I'm going to stay right here at this podium. Anyone wants to talk to me about anything, I will stay here until they kick me out. Other than that, that's the end of the meeting, and thank you for being here. Thank you. Appreciate it. Absolutely.